Thanks, Louis. So I'm a research engineer in the Henri Poincaré archive. Yes. Okay. Yep. You just lay it down.
I think you can also hide the controls
Yeah,
by pressing on the little three dots in the circle.
There you go.
Thank you. So I will just do a very quick presentation of my lab on one of our research projects. But the purpose of this talk is not to present a particular project, but it's to talk about RiC and Omeka S on preserving digital archive. So I am a research engineer at Archives Henri Poincaré. It's a research lab in philosophy, history of science, but it's also a place where we keep archival collection in history of science. So we are a small team, and we do both archival work and scientific exploitation of this document. So we use a lot of semantic web ontology to do the scientific exploitation, and we use an archival standard to do the archival work. So this is Henri Poincaré, a French mathematician, and I will talk very briefly about our project, big project about the correspondence. So during 20 years, we put the letter of Henri Poincaré online, and we explained the scientific academic context of this writing. And this was a long-term project in parallel with the print edition on collective research, gradually joined by engineer. So we have an Omeka S website. And the purpose was not only to put the letter online, but to modelize historical knowledge. At one point, we were thinking about going to the TI world, and we decided to not to go to the TI world, but to go to the semantic web world, because our plan was to modelize knowledge and not to make critical edition. So we go beyond correspondence, beyond the letter, and we try to put everything we know about Henri Poincaré, about the person in the letter, in one database using Omeka. This database is converted in a triple store, and we choose to use the semantic web to have the ability to make advanced query on this knowledge base, and to use this database for research purposes. So we developed several exploration tools. This is the tool from Nicolas Lassol. And the purpose is always the same. It's to answer a scientific question. Does Poincaré know someone who worked on this field in this moment and was also in this institution? And is there such person? And if you know this such person, can you recommend me some other letters which are relevant for this problem? So this is what we are trying to do. So this is the point of view I am talking about. So we have two sides, an archive side and a digital humanities side. So in the archival side, we have a font, a set of records of the same origin, organized with the filing aids. And we have reproduction of the document. For our case, it's not digital born archive, but it could be digital born archive. And we have a scientific description which goes beyond. It's not very beyond, it's another nature of the description, and it's more than like a DH. So for the archival side, we use this norm. I think many of you know this. So it's a general international standard archival description norm. So it's the standard in the archival world, and it allows you to describe documents in a hierarchical way. with all the levels of the archive. It's a comprehensive but internal view of the document. This is the archival tool we use at home to do so. This is not the Henri collection, but it's another one. And you can see all the level and with different information at each level. So it's really archival work. It's related to the scientific exploitation, but it's different. On the DH side, we use Omeka S. We have, I think, we have 27 websites putting collection on. Most of them use Omeka Classic or Omeka S. We are very fond of the software. So in this project of Poincaré, we use semantic web ontology. One ontology we made with Protégé. We align, when possible, the metadata with other ontology. And this allows us to make a fine description of the information we have about the data. And it allows us to have this data in a triple store and to make some exploration tool after. So one observation, there is a discrepancy between the information provided by the finding aids and the need of the research project. This is not the same description, the same nature of description. So we have to do both work, and it was not the same work. And we start to do the archival work and after scientific work, but I was never satisfied neither of my team by this. So because we are inside the research lab, we are not an archival center. So we do both, but we have to do both not at the same time. So we are trying to find another way to do this. So we are working on what we call now digital archive, but I think there is a conceptual divergence between the concept of archive in archival science and in digital humanities. And there is a poster about this in this event. Let's wait. Go to see. It's nice. So it's unfortunate that archival information are not more widely used in digital humanities, and vice versa. And there is also a problem of preservation of data produced by digital humanities because it's very fragile. When you work with digital archive, metadata, database methodology, this can be easily lost. They are very fragile, and if we know quite well how to preserve physical documents, we know very little about the same for archival digital artifacts. So, and we have, as digital humanities, some kind of responsibility to ensure the preservation of our work, of course. So this is another project of mine with other people about the durability of digital storage, but there are connections. In this project, we try to list every problem of long-term preservation. And when we talk about century or millennium in the archive world, when we go to the digital world, we talk about 30 years, maybe, so it's not the same scale. So we ask people from different perspectives to think about millennium in archival digital conservation and to see what will be the problem. For example, acceleration or to preserve the understanding. And one of these problems is what we call intrinsically digital distributed archive. It's like we have one document, several digital versions of the document, and several digital description, scientific description, because several projects are working on the same document. So when we are talking about preservation, which version are we preserving? It's a big problem to do so. So what we can do to have a sustainable digital archive, one idea is to both reuse archival description and to deposit scientific data into archival center. How can we do this? By sharing the same technology and the same norm. So this is what I am talking about, records in context. Records in context is a new norm in the archival world. So replacing the previous one I presented earlier. Since a few months, it's a stable version. It's an official recommendation for the International Council of Archive. So everybody in the world of archive will use it. Should use it. in a long term. So it's the conceptual model, it's an ontology, it's designed to describe a lot more than the previous norm. All the fourth norm, previous norm are merged into this one. So you are describing documents, person, institution, and more. It's designed to manage better electronic record, but what they call electronic, it's like for digital. On the previous standard, you can describe documents that doesn't exist anymore. It's not to describe all the paper. It's to describe the intellectual information. It's a norm based on intellectual information. And it's to capture complex relationship between records. So what is very interesting is record in context use the semantic web technology. Omeka S use the semantic web technology. So we can use both. We can use RiC inside Omeka S. So it's a very big opportunity, in my opinion, because there is not yet tool to use record in context in an intuitive way. There will be a company will build tool for this, sure, but right now there is no intuitive tools. But you can import the ontology into Omeka S and start describing document with this norm right now in a very easy way. And Omeka S could become a valuable tool to describe both archival information and scientific information in the same time. For us, it's very important because we are a research lab, but it's important for lots of projects. So two main use cases. We can imagine if we use Omeka S on recording context to import archival description made by archival services, Archives Nationales in France, and to work with them and to work with this finding aid to add some scientific information, and after, if the archival services is willing to do so, to deposit this information back to the archival services. The second use case is use Omeka S inside the ADHO project, like a way to describe archive with the help of the norm, but to describe in the scale, the level of the project, and to if this document is not already described by a professional archivist. So there is some technical issue in Omeka S. For now, you cannot import, export RDF data. So it will be an issue for the use case one, at least. And there are technical issues about visualization of linked data. I cannot say this word in English, but there are issues about visualization, or maybe many other issues, but it's a small issue. I start already working with RiC and Omeka S, so it's possible yet. So this is Omeka S ontology. It's so to bring world of the archivists and researchers together and to improve sustainability. I think I'm out of time, so I will just, in conclusion, briefly present a project. Our project, I received funding for our project. It's to develop a platform with Omeka S on recording context for my laboratory to do what I present, but it could be sold in a broader way for other projects. Thank you.